There's a reason why the most silent goodbyes come from Scorpios, not with shouting, not with slamming doors, but with a haunting stillness as if the soul itself has whispered, "This chapter is over." You might text them, you might call, you might even show up at their door with apologies and tears, but nothing happens. Because when a Scorpio decides you've betrayed them, you don't just lose their trust, you lose access to their world forever. But why? Why is it that the same sign known for unwavering loyalty, the one that would die for you in love, becomes colder than ice when they feel the sting of betrayal? Is it pride, ego, control? No, it's something much deeper. It's because Scorpio doesn't love from the surface, they love from the soul. And when that bond is broken, something in them dies, and they do not resurrect the dead. This isn't about holding a grudge. This is about survival, about protecting the sacred space of their heart, a space they rarely let anyone in to begin with. Imagine for a moment a scorpion in the desert, quiet, still, watching. It doesn't attack without reason, but if you step too close and pierce its trust, it doesn't warn you twice. That is Scorpio. And today we're going deep into the 12 reasons why once you betray a Scorpio, you're gone for good. Not because they hate you, but because they've finally remembered who they are. Let's begin with the first reason. And I warn you, it's not what you expect. Reason 1. Loyalty to a Scorpio is sacred. Once broken, it's dust. To understand why Scorpio never returns to a betrayer, you have to first understand this. Loyalty isn't just a virtue to them, it's a sacred vow. Not optional, not flexible, not situational. It's everything. When a Scorpio gives you their trust, they are handing you a weapon, one that can either defend their soul or destroy it, and they are fully aware of the risk. But they take that risk not because they're foolish, but because they believe in sacred bonds. Now picture this. There was a woman named Serena, a Scorpio, born under the late October moon. She was a counselor, empathetic, intuitive, deeply devoted. When she fell in love with a man she believed was her soulmate, she poured her entire soul into him. No secrets, no filters. He cheated on her once, a mistake, he said. She didn't yell. She didn't fight. She didn't post about it online. She packed her things, left a note on the table, and vanished. No second chances, no closure, no explanation. 2 years later, he showed up at her office. Same eyes, same words, same fake tears. She looked at him calmly and said, "You made me question my ability to feel safe with someone. That's not love, that's soul theft." And she closed the door. Scorpios don't break ties impulsively. They cut when the soul says, "This is no longer safe." Because for Scorpio, betrayal isn't just an action, it's a sacrilege. It's someone taking what was sacred and throwing it in the mud. And here's the secret. Once loyalty is shattered, there's nothing to glue it back. It's not about revenge. It's not about punishing you. It's about self-respect, the kind that says, "I will never again beg someone to honor what I gave freely with my soul." That's why Scorpios disappear without warning. Because when loyalty is broken, the bond is not injured, it's dead. And they do not believe in raising the dead. Life lesson 1. Some hearts don't hate you after betrayal. They simply outgrow the need to be anywhere near you. Scorpio teaches us that loyalty is not a gesture, it's a spiritual agreement. And once that agreement is violated, the soul closes its doors permanently. Reason 2. Scorpio doesn't just remember, they feel everything. When most people recall betrayal, they remember the facts. Who said what? Who did what? The timeline, the evidence. But Scorpios, they don't remember the details, they relive the pain. Every word, every silence, every subtle shift in your energy before the lie came out. They felt it all even before the betrayal surfaced. You see, Scorpio doesn't just have a memory, they have emotional X-ray vision. And once they've been betrayed, it's not just a scar, it's a permanent echo. Let me tell you about Devon, a Scorpio, born under the November eclipse. He had a best friend since childhood, someone he once called my brother in a world of strangers. They did everything together: college road trips, heartbreaks, even started a business. But one day, Devon found out that friend had been leaking private client data behind his back for months. The betrayal wasn't just in the act, it was in the fake laughter, the false loyalty, the smoke in the eyes of someone he trusted. Devon didn't confront him publicly, he didn't seek vengeance. He shut the company down, moved cities, changed numbers, changed life. Years later, someone asked Devon if he missed that friendship. He said, "Miss it? No. I feel it, like a splinter under the skin of my past, and I won't carry splinters into my future." This is what people don't get. Scorpio doesn't stay away because they're angry. They stay away because their nervous system won't let them forget. Every interaction with the betrayer reignites the pain, the energy, the shift, the deception. And Scorpio refuses to re-traumatize their own spirit just to make someone else feel better. Life lesson 2. Healing doesn't always mean reconnecting. Sometimes it means closing the door to protect the peace that took years to rebuild. Scorpio teaches us this profound truth. Just because you can talk to someone again doesn't mean your soul should have to feel them again. Reason 3. Scorpio knew it before you confessed. That's what hurts. Most people think they got away with something. That Scorpio never saw it coming. That maybe, just maybe, the betrayal was subtle enough to go undetected. But what they don't realize is Scorpio already knew. Long before the truth came out, long before the lie slipped, long before the proof was discovered. They felt the shift in your energy, the pause in your voice, the flicker in your eyes, and it's that part that hurts the most. Not the act of betrayal, but the pretending. The belief that they were fooled. Let me tell you about Julian, a Scorpio man who had been in a 5-year relationship with someone he deeply trusted. One night while they were watching a movie, she laughed, but the sound didn't feel the same. Julian didn't say anything, but in that exact moment, he felt something break. Days later, her phone buzzed. She said it was her sister. Julian nodded, but he already knew it wasn't. When the truth finally came out through someone else, she cried and asked him, "Why didn't you say anything?" He simply replied, "Because I wanted to see how far your lie would walk before it tripped." You see, Scorpio doesn't need physical proof. They pick up on vibrations, the kind most people miss. And when they realize you didn't just betray them, you also insulted their intuition, that's the final nail. Because for Scorpio, being lied to is painful, but being underestimated is unforgivable. So when they walk away, they're not walking away from just your actions. They're walking away from everything you thought you were smart enough to hide. Life lesson 3. Never mistake a Scorpio's silence for ignorance. They're watching the truth unravel and choosing when to walk away without a word. This lesson hits deep. Sometimes people leave not because they're shocked, but because they're tired of waiting for you to be honest with them. And Scorpio, they'd rather lose you than lose their own inner knowing. Reason 4, Scorpio doesn't retaliate. They transform instead. Most people, when betrayed, want closure. They want answers, apologies, revenge, something to make the pain feel less like chaos. But Scorpio, they don't beg, they don't scream, and they certainly don't try to make you see the damage you've done. They disappear and become someone you no longer recognize. Because for Scorpio, betrayal is not a wound, it's a metamorphosis. Let me tell you about Aria, a Scorpio born just after midnight on November 2nd. She was in love hopelessly, fiercely. She supported her partner emotionally, financially, spiritually, until one night she found the messages. Not just one, but dozens. A secret life, another woman, another city. Her world didn't collapse, it molted. In just 3 weeks, she closed her business, deleted all social media, moved out of state, and changed her entire identity. A mutual friend once said to her, "I can't believe you left everything behind because of him." Aria smiled and replied, "I didn't leave because of him. I left because of who I became when I tolerated less than I deserved." This is what people don't understand. Scorpio's revenge is not in punishing you, it's in becoming unreachable. Their revenge is the rebirth. It's the silence. It's the glow up. It's the fact that you no longer have access to any version of them, past or present. They don't seek closure. They become the closure. So when you try to come back thinking you'll find the same Scorpio waiting, you're shocked to realize that version of them doesn't exist anymore. You didn't just betray a person. You triggered a transformation. And no one returns to their ashes once they've become fire. Life lesson 4. Some people don't heal by fixing the past. They heal by burning the bridge and building a better future without you. Scorpio teaches us this unshakable truth. True power is not in revenge, it's in refusal. Refusal to be the same. Refusal to be accessible. Refusal to be broken again. Reason 5. Scorpio doesn't believe in second chances, only final lessons. For many people, forgiveness means reconciliation. They believe in, let's try again. They believe in people change. They believe in, maybe it'll be different this time. But Scorpio, they believe in lessons that don't need to be repeated. Because to them, the first betrayal was the universe whispering, this person is not safe. And Scorpio listens the first time, even if it takes a while to act. Let me tell you about Marcus, a Scorpio raised by a single mother who taught him loyalty is love in action. He grew up valuing people who showed up, who meant what they said, who stood with him in storms. So when his partner cheated, not physically but emotionally, Marcus gave them one chance to explain. They swore it was a mistake. He didn't argue. He didn't judge. He simply said, you made a decision, and now I have to make one too. And that was it. Months later, that person begged to come back. They claimed they had changed, healed, grown. But Marcus didn't even respond. Because he wasn't angry, he was finished. Here's the thing. Scorpio doesn't shut doors because they're bitter. They shut doors because they've seen the pattern and they refuse to walk in circles. They understand something most people avoid. If you let someone hurt you twice, it's no longer their betrayal, it's your permission. And Scorpio, they may hurt deeply, but they never make the same mistake twice. They don't look back. Because in their world, returning to the scene of the betrayal is the same as reopening the wound with your own hands. Life lesson 5. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You'll never get the chance. Scorpio teaches us a hard but liberating truth. Self-respect means knowing when the lesson is complete and walking away with your soul intact. Reason 6. Scorpio can sense bad energy and they never ignore that twice. Most people sense red flags, but they dismiss them. They say it's probably nothing. Maybe I'm overthinking. Everyone makes mistakes. But Scorpio, they don't just sense bad energy, they absorb it. They feel it in their body, in their breath, in the way their stomach knots when something's off, in the dreams that haunt them before betrayal is even exposed. Take the story of Elena, a Scorpio born under a lunar eclipse. She had a best friend, someone she trusted so deeply she considered them family, but over time, small things felt wrong. A comment that stung, a strange hesitation in conversation, a laugh that didn't feel genuine, no proof, just vibrations. And Scorpio, they're not ruled by logic, they're ruled by frequency. Weeks later, Elena found out that friend had been gossiping behind her back, undermining her, spreading lies masked as concerns. When confronted, the friend pleaded, I didn't mean to hurt you, I still love you. Elena looked at her and replied, your words might lie, but your energy never did. This is why Scorpio never goes back to a betrayer, because even if the words change, even if apologies are made, even if the actions improve, the energy never lies. And if it felt wrong once, Scorpio believes it will feel wrong again. They may not always act immediately, but once their soul has sounded the alarm, they never ignore the sirens again. Because returning to someone whose energy once betrayed them feels like betraying their own inner wisdom. Life lesson 6. You don't always need proof. Sometimes your peace disappearing is proof enough. Scorpio teaches us that intuition is a divine voice, and when it speaks, we must listen. even if it means walking away without a goodbye. Reason 7. Scorpio knows that forgiving too easily sends the wrong message to the universe. Scorpio lives by an unwritten law. Every decision I make teaches the universe how to treat me. So when they're betrayed and someone begs for forgiveness, Scorpio doesn't just ask, should I forgive them? They ask, if I take them back, what message am I sending about my worth? And that question changes everything. Let me tell you about Noah, a Scorpio man who once forgave too easily. He was in a toxic relationship. Lies, gaslighting, empty promises. Every time he left, she cried. Every time she cried, he forgave. Until one day he looked at himself in the mirror and said, I'm not healing. I'm rehearsing how to abandon myself. That was the last day he ever returned to someone who had proven unworthy of his loyalty. Here's the thing, Scorpio doesn't hold grudges, they hold standards. And once someone falls below those standards, especially through betrayal, Scorpio doesn't just walk away for them, they walk away for every future version of themselves. Because going back would be saying to the universe, I'm okay with this level of love, I'll settle for this again. And Scorpio, they don't settle. Not in love, not in respect, not in energy. This is why even when the betrayer shows change, Scorpio doesn't come back. Because true healing isn't just about seeing the other person change. It's about realizing you've changed too much to return. Life lesson 7. When you stop chasing what broke you, you start attracting what honors you. Scorpio teaches us that every act of forgiveness must include one person first, yourself. And sometimes the deepest forgiveness is refusing to put yourself in that position again. Reason 8. Scorpio's silence is the message. Disappearance is their closure. Some people scream when they're hurt, some beg, some fight, some demand to be heard. But Scorpio, they go silent. Completely, utterly, forever. And that silence is louder than any revenge could ever be. You see, most people think silence means indifference. But when it comes to Scorpio, silence is sacred. It's the highest form of communication. Because when they stop responding, stop arguing, stop explaining, it means they've made a decision. You no longer exist in their universe. Take the story of Camille, a Scorpio artist in New York. She was engaged to a man who slowly began controlling her voice, her art, her circle, her independence. At first she resisted, she fought, she reasoned, until one day she stopped responding to everything. He came home to an empty apartment, her ring on the counter, no note, no goodbye, no forward address. He spent months trying to reach her. All he got was silence. When a mutual friend asked why she left like that, Camille said, because if I stayed to explain, I would have let him rewrite the story. Silence was the truth unedited. That's what people misunderstand. Scorpio doesn't need to have the last word. Silence is their last word because they know something most don't. You can't argue with someone who's no longer available to be wounded. Disappearing isn't about ghosting. It's about protecting their peace and preserving their dignity. So when you ask, why didn't the Scorpio say goodbye? It's because they already did when they stopped feeling safe. And their disappearance, that was the closure. Life lesson 8. When someone's silence feels louder than their presence ever did, you are part of the problem, not the healing. Scorpio teaches us that not every goodbye needs an audience. Sometimes peace is found not in confrontation, but in complete disconnection. Reason 9. Scorpio won't reopen a wound that nearly destroyed them. When Scorpio is betrayed, they don't just feel hurt, they unravel. Their soul comes undone piece by piece, layer by layer. And rebuilding themselves from that kind of devastation isn't just painful, it's transformational. So when you come back apologizing, pleading, promising change, Scorpio doesn't just hear your words, they remember what it cost them to survive you. Let me tell you about Isaiah, a Scorpio man who went through the darkest year of his life after being betrayed by the woman he loved. He lost 15 pounds, stopped writing, stopped sleeping, walked through life like a ghost. But he clawed his way back through therapy, through meditation, through silence. He rebuilt a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of himself. So when she came back, a new woman, she said, he simply shook his head and whispered, "I bled for this version of me. You don't get to meet him." That's the truth about Scorpio. They don't avoid you because they're bitter. They avoid you because they remember the cost, the breakdown, the nights on the floor, the spiritual death that had to happen so they could rise again. And no matter how sincere you may seem now, Scorpio knows this. Anyone who helped break me doesn't deserve to witness my rebirth. They'd rather protect the peace they had to suffer for than risk it all for someone who already showed them how dangerous love can be. Because that version of Scorpio who once loved you without question, they buried them. And they don't dig up what's been laid to rest. Life lesson 9. Sometimes walking away isn't a choice, it's a resurrection. Scorpio teaches us that the greatest form of self-love is choosing not to re-enter the fire you barely survived the first time. Reason 10. Scorpio doesn't need revenge. Losing access is the punishment. Some people fantasize about revenge. They want karma. They want justice. They want the betrayer to feel what they felt. But Scorpio, they don't need to destroy you because they know the real punishment is knowing I'm gone forever. Let's talk about Jordan, a Scorpio woman with a fierce heart. Her ex betrayed her in the worst way. He didn't just cheat, he lied. He gaslit. He made her question her intuition and her reality. But when she found out, she didn't scream. She didn't post about it. She didn't even tell mutual friends. She just vanished. 6 months later, he reached out. Tried to say he missed her energy, that no one loved like she did. She never replied. A year later, he saw her from across the room at an event. She walked by like he was a stranger, wearing the same perfume but with a different energy, untouchable, unreachable. You see, Scorpio knows something most don't. The most haunting sound in the universe is the silence of a Scorpio who once adored you. Because once they walk away, they don't leave a space for you to return. They erase the path. And the pain you feel, the regret, the longing, the emptiness, that is the justice. Not because Scorpio planned it, but because that's what happens when you lose something real and realize it too late. Scorpio doesn't play with your downfall. They let the weight of their absence speak for itself. And believe me, it screams. Life lesson 10. The deepest revenge isn't destruction, it's denial. Not of who you are, but of who you used to be allowed to be in my life. Scorpio teaches us this when you lose access to a soul that loved you with everything you don't need to be punished. You already are. Reason 11. Scorpio forgives for peace, but keeps distance for protection. There's a powerful misunderstanding people often carry. If they forgive me, they should let me back in. But Scorpio will teach you otherwise. Yes, they might forgive you. They might even speak kindly of you. They might genuinely wish you well, but let you back into their life, not a chance. Because Scorpio knows I can heal my heart without handing you the knife again. Take the story of Ray, a Scorpio woman who was betrayed by her younger sister. They grew up in a tight-knit family, trusted each other with everything. But one day Ray discovered her sister had stolen money from their late father's inheritance and lied about it for years. It broke her, not because of the money, but because of what it meant. After months of silence and tears, Ray forgave her, but she never invited her back in. When asked why, Ray said, "I forgave her so I wouldn't carry the weight, but I'll never stand unguarded again near the hands that once robbed me blind." Scorpio understands this rare wisdom. Forgiveness is for the soul. Distance is for survival. They don't confuse the two, because letting someone back in just to prove you've healed is like setting fire to your house to prove you're no longer afraid of being burned. So yes, Scorpio may smile at you now. They may not bring up the past. But make no mistake, that smile doesn't mean access. It means they've outgrown the pain, not forgotten it. Life lesson 11. Forgiveness is a gift I give myself, but boundaries are the fortress I build around that gift. Scorpio teaches us this sacred truth. Healing doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it means setting someone free and keeping yourself safe. Reason 12. Scorpio learns through pain, but never rewrites the same chapter twice. Some people need to learn the same lesson over and over again, but not Scorpio. Because once they've been broken, once they've cried in silence, once they've seen the truth beneath the surface, they never forget what it cost them to finally see. And once Scorpio sees you for who you really are, they never unsee it. Let me tell you about Miles, a Scorpio man who once loved blindly. He dated someone who constantly crossed boundaries. Little lies, backhanded compliments, emotional manipulation masked as love. It took him years to realize he was loving someone who didn't know how to love him back. But when he walked away, he didn't just end the relationship. He ended that version of himself, the one who tolerated pain as proof of love. A year later, that person reached out, said they had changed, said they missed what they had. Miles didn't get angry. He simply said, "I've read that chapter already. I already know how it ends. And I'm now the author of a different story." This is the final truth about Scorpio. They don't break and stay broken. They evolve. Every betrayal becomes a turning point. Every wound becomes armor. Every disappointment becomes a line in the contract they sign with their future self. We don't go back. We go deeper. We go stronger. We go wiser. So when you try to re-enter a Scorpio's life after betraying them, you're not knocking on the same door. That house no longer exists. They've moved, they've rebuilt, they've changed the blueprint entirely, and you're a character no longer written into the new script. Life lesson 12. Some people are chapters, some are lessons, but the ones who betray you are closures. Scorpio teaches us this final transformative law. Once your soul has evolved through pain, you never return to the place where it began. Closing. The soul contract is broken, and now you understand. Scorpio doesn't leave for drama. They don't disappear to prove a point. They don't stay silent to punish you. They leave because the soul contract has been broken. That invisible sacred agreement that said, "You protect my heart as I protect yours." Once you betray that, there's no rewrite, no reset, no resurrection. Because for Scorpio, betrayal is not just an event, it's a revelation, a moment when the illusion collapses and the truth is unbearable. Some people say, "But everyone deserves a second chance." And Scorpio would answer, "Not at the cost of my peace, not at the expense of my soul." You see, Scorpio has already died once emotionally. They've rebuilt themselves from ashes you never saw, and once they rise, they never walk back into the fire they barely survived. They don't return because they've changed, and because now they know better. So, if you're watching this and wondering, will they ever come back? The answer is simple. They already did, when they chose themselves, and that path no longer includes you. Final wisdom. The strongest hearts are not the ones that hold on, but the ones that let go with love and never look back. So if you're a Scorpio, know this silence, this ending, this strength in walking away, it isn't cold, it's sacred. And if you've lost a Scorpio, don't ask how to get them back. Ask what their absence is here to teach you. Let's talk. Have you ever had to walk away, not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving yourself? Drop your story in the comments. Your voice may help someone else choose healing over history. Subscribe to the Path to Buddha Wisdom, where your pain becomes power and your zodiac becomes your guide.